It's fantastic to be here today. Yeah, Lacey and I go back to the way back. We've been knowing each other almost 20 years now, which is ridiculous and slightly mortifying, but that's okay. I had my moment. I was at the last Buku festival, and which I think happened like 5 years ago, at over by the convention center, and I was with my brother, and I turned and I said, "Man, some of these kids here are half our age. That's depressing." He said, "No, your math is bad. They're a third of our age." And it's not just depressing, it's actually pretty creepy that you're here. I guess what I wanted to talk about today is why I think here in Louisiana we're entering, or we're currently in, a bit of a golden age. I was talking to Grady Fitzpatrick, who Russell works with on a daily basis, and Ashley, and our pipeline is as big in terms of jobs and in terms of investment than it's ever been in my 17 plus years at GNO Inc. And the stars, I think, are really aligned. One of the proof points of this is there's a magazine called Area Development, which is kind of like the dog fancy of economic development magazines. Like if economic developers had economic development barbershops, they'd have Area Development there for you to read. Okay, it was a Playboy joke. It didn't work. Oh yeah, where's the media here, by the way? Okay, this is what we're going to do. If I say something and I say off record, then it's off record. Everything else is on record. Okay, like that Playboy was off record. Is that no? Can we have let me have fun. All right. You know, it would suck to get canceled now after such a good run. You know. Area Development had the rankings of the best state for business, and Louisiana just came in at number 9. Right. And right, thank you. That worked. In the country, what's interesting about that is that, and you know, Don, you'll remember, is that we haven't been in the top 10 since 2016. We used to be typically in the top 10, and then we kind of, I don't know. I think we just stopped paying as much attention to economic development as we should, and we started to slide. So getting back into that top 10 is a big deal. So the question is, well, why are we up there again? Is because we bought the back of page ad in Area Development? Maybe not. We don't know. But I think there are 4 reasons. These are 4 reasons that for success in economic development that I developed with Marty Meyer, who was my second board chair, the first board chair in GNO Inc.'s 100 and some odd year history. GNO Inc. actually was started in 1902 as the Progressive Union of Greater New Orleans, and then it went on through many permutations. But so in that 124 years, Marty was the first board chair from the North Shore. And so I developed the 4 C's to describe success. So let me kind of go through them now and see if they still hang. So the first C is cost. And if you go into the rankings from Area Development, you'll see that Louisiana is ranked number 1 in the country for energy cost, which is an enormous thing because we're in an era today which is moving into AI. A single search on ChatGPT takes 17 times the energy of a single search on Google, and it lies to you like a 4-year-old. So you have to keep like asking. If you guys ever had that experience with ChatGPT, you're like, what is 2 plus 2? And it's like, that's a great question. First of all, it's super condescending. It's like, it's like, should I yell at my wife? It's like, that's a very thoughtful question. Perhaps you should take a breath and think about it, right? So the answer is no, because she's got the hammer and I've got like the butter knife. But off record. I'm married too. All right, I don't want to get canceled after 27 years, right? But anyway, we're in this energy-intensive world, so being number one for energy is great. Then as you go through all the other costs, Louisiana ends up being number 10 for overall cost of doing business in America. So we are in the top quintile for cost of doing business. That obviously is a huge deal. The reasons for that are many, but the biggest thing is our energy costs. Our energy costs are so low because of natural gas. Natural gas is so cheap because of fracking. Anybody ever been to the Woodlands in Houston? Okay, fun fact. I'm forgetting the guy's name. It starts with an R, but the guy who built the Woodlands was the engineer who discovered fracking. And he just kind of like somehow, you know, like he like missed the boat on, but he had enough money that he had to go and like build the Woodlands, which I'm told are really lovely. I've never been there, but I'm told you get to walk amongst the pine trees between the McMansions, and it's really lovely. Okay, so that's cost. The second C is cash. Louisiana has some of the richest incentives in the country. The one that's the easiest to talk about is our digital media incentive. It gives you basically 25% of your cash back in terms of your personnel and your hard costs for doing coding in Louisiana. It's pretty broadly applied. I would assume that our friends at Globalstar, for example, are taking advantage of it. You guys know now that when you get the SOS and you're using a satellite on your iWatch or your phone, that's a Globalstar technology? Yeah, it is, which doesn't explain why. I've been holding their stock since we brought them here in like 2009, and it still hasn't like been my. Anybody else hold Globalstar stock? I don't know what's wrong with the markets. You're in Apple Watches, but that's a big one. Another one that was just announced is a Fast Sites program. This is going to be explained, but basically, for the first time ever, Louisiana is going to have a site preparation fund. It's starting at $150 million. It's meant to have a payback, so it'll be an evergreen fund. This is a huge deal because if you don't have sites prepped, you don't win deals. The reason that we got the Meta deal up in Richland, up in Northeast Louisiana, the biggest AI center, I think in the country, the biggest one from Meta, still does not explain Zuckerberg's weird new hairstyle. Is it or is it not a perm? I don't know. I don't like it. It's just, he looks like a serial killer on like TRT. I don't like it. It's a weird thing, and his whole jujitsu thing. I like nerdy like Zuckerberg. It made me more, it was more like to type. But what was the point of this? The reason why they got that site was back in the Blanco days, they purchased a huge tract to try to attract an auto manufacturer. That didn't happen, but because we had that site, when Meta needed to build a new AI facility, we had it to offer to them. If we did not have that, we would not have that, and you would not have these virtual reality kind of things going on up in the poorest part of the state. So having a site prep fund is a big deal. So we've always been good on incentives. The third C is culture. The reason that we ended up back in New Orleans, this is a fun fact, is my wife is Danish. I met her in Australia. It's a long story. It involved me having money and her being poor, and it just worked out. It's like a Pygmalion story. Okay, and what happened was we were in San Francisco. We were in the restaurant business. The dot-com crash happened in 2001. For those of you that were not alive yet in 2001, it was bad. We lost 40% of our same-store sales immediately because all of these like rich dot-com people selling nothing stopped buying bottles of Shot and News to Pop. And so we were like, restaurant business is no fun when you're losing money. So we left and we traded in our hipster GTI for a VW camper van, and we went around 32 states and 2 provinces in this camper van. It was a fun experience. We didn't have kids yet. We spent, including gas, a total of $50 a day on average. We discovered that grits are an incredibly flexible food source. You can put, You can put cinnamon and sugar on them for breakfast, right? You can put ketchup on them for lunch, and for dinner, if you're fancy, you can put onions on them that you saute, and you have 3 meals a day. Anyway, we came through New Orleans, where my mother's family's from, and my wife turned to me and she said, "We should move to New Orleans. It's the only place in the country you actually know where you are." And I said, you know, there's something to that, because it looks different, it feels different, it smells different, for better or for worse. Today it smells like lemons because of Sidney Torres, and who is a fascinating guy. He was Lenny Kravitz's manager. He never buttons his shirt up the whole way, and he's just like insane about keeping the quarter lemony fresh. It's like, it actually is really, you know, it is true, and I've seen them do it, and they're insane about it. I love it. So we're a special place, and that includes, of course, St. Tammany. When we were doing a branding campaign for Susan Bourgeois when she was with the foundation, we were going through different slogans for St. Tammany. One person suggested the prettiest girl at the dance. I thought that was maybe true, but not good, because we all know what happened to the prettiest girl at the dance from high school. It usually does not end well. I suggested slightly north of awesome. That wasn't picked. What was the one that was picked? It was like north of your expectations? Okay, so that was pretty good. I don't know if it got used, but it was north of your expectations. But anyway, the culture of this place, and really of Louisiana in general, is so distinctive. And in a world that's becoming ever more homogenous, it's a true competitive advantage. I think all of us have been in an airport or woken up in a hotel, and you, for that moment, don't know where you are, because it's generic. They've got the strip mall, they've got the downtown. The hotel has the waffle maker that goes like pew, 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 and you turn it over and get your waffle, and life's depressing. Life is not depressing here, because we dance at weddings and we dance at funerals. There's a joie de vivre, there's the food. This is the least place in the country. The only sin in our region is being boring. That's not tolerated. But if you're interesting and can know your way around the kitchen, you're going to be fine. So culture is a big deal. It's a big advantage, particularly when we're talking to tech companies and software companies. The last C was a problem, because the last C was leadership. And I couldn't think of a C word for leadership. So, and somebody can text Marty this if you have Marty's, if anybody has Marty's cell phone, text Marty and text him cleadership, because we started talking about cleadership because we needed a C. And yep, it didn't work then, it does not work now. But anyways, cleadership was our fourth, cleadership, come on. Cleadership! Right, I'll do this until y'all laugh. I'll burn the place down. Leadership. And what we have now is, I would argue, in economic development, some of the strongest, most aligned leadership in the country. I can switch it. Some of the most aligned leadership in the luntry. I said switched it. Okay. So you got the governor, and this governor is has basically staked his future to bringing back Louisiana from the brink. And he knows he's going to do that with jobs. So when the Meta deal needed to get done, the governor made damn sure that it got done. When the Hyundai deal, there was a question about was it going to be impacted by tariffs, our governor, who has some friends in the White House, made sure that it got done. And so right now in this state, led by the governor, we're seeing booms happening everywhere. A company called Woodlands or Woodside from Australia. It's one of the woods, not Taylor Swift's wood. That's Travis Kelce. Who did I just tell on? Who knew that joke? Do you have daughters, or are you a Taylor Swift fan?
My underwriter.
Okay, you're under what?
My underwriter loves Taylor Swift.
Okay, yeah.
If I bash her, my deals get declined.
Okay, yes. So, new album, Magnificent, or True Return to Form. It's only like mid. It's not that great. But Woodlands or Woodside out in the west of the state, massive deal, $17 billion. Venture Global down in Plaquemines. If anybody has a chance to go down 23 and look at it, it is the largest single private investment in human history. It's now up to $39 billion. It is a 700-acre behemoth surrounded, was that? Yeah, it's LNG, yeah. It's basically a massive refrigerator for natural gas. Have you seen it? No, I haven't. It's incredible. It's surrounded by a 100-foot high curtain wall of steel. I don't know if that's to keep the gas in or the water out. But anyway, it's incredible. And this is happening under his leadership. But then we get down to a true St. Tammany story. And this is Secretary Susan Bourgeois. That woman is crushing it at LED. And why is she crushing it? She's crushing it because she's not an economic developer and she's not a politician, so she had a fighting chance going in. You can print that. What she is she is very politically astute. She's very aggressive. She's able to work with everybody, and she is transforming that department into a department of yes with a whole of government approach. We've never had her. Her staff is also outstanding. I know this because most of them used to work for me. So Susan was my board chair, okay? That's how she got her entree into economic development. After she took the position and she needed to staff up, the next person she took was another St. Tammany resident, Rachel Shields, who had been my chief of staff for my entire time. That was fine. I was fine. It wasn't an issue at all. But all of these things were with my blessing, I swear, because I knew that it was just going to make us tighter with LED. And then you get down to St. Tammany Corps and Chris Massengill, who's now in the center of the state at Senla, Russell, Ashley, the whole team. And we've gotten an alignment, a level of trust and a level of competency that I would literally put up against anybody in the country. And then looking up above our pay grade, we also happen to be the first state in history that has the 1 and 2 positions in the House, with Speaker Mike Johnson, right, and with our friend Steve Scalise. So we've got an alignment all the way up that we've never had before. And let's be honest, we might not ever have it again, and we might not have it after midterms. If midterms go the way midterms tend to typically go, right, when the party in power loses the House. So I feel like there's an enormous pressure for us to make hay while the sun shines, because I don't think it's ever going to shine as brightly and directly as it is now. So it's costs, it's cash, it's culture, and it's leadership. Yeah, Marty hated that. He literally made me stop saying it. All right, let me talk about a couple of specific projects that I think are interesting and important to us here. First of all, let me talk about the port. How familiar are people with the port? Should I like mansplain or just kind of like semi-mansplain or? Okay, so who knows why we have to build a new port? This is a fun fact. Okay, your ignorance is my blessing. So the current port can only take ships up to about 8,000 or 9,000 what's called TEUs, right? A TEU is one of the short boxes. The ones we typically see are 2 TEUs. The reason is that the Crescent City connection basically imposes a height restriction, right? As of right now, unless there's low river, we can't go much above like 9,000. The problem is that what's called the Neo post-Panamax vessels that now want to come and dock are up to 14,000, 16,000 TEUs. So either we have to build a new port downriver, or we have to turn the Crescent City connection into a double drawbridge, right? Which is stupid because we just put those fancy lights on it and it would mess that up, right? And so we have to build a new one downriver for Louisiana to stay in the shipping game And that's why we were founded 200 years ago, right? Or 300 years ago, really, by Bienville. It was as a strategic shipping entrepot, and the site of New Orleans was actually picked because it was the least bad option. Like, there are no good options to build anything in southern Louisiana, right? At least that side of the lake. But it was the least bad one because it had the closest portage, right, on basically the Esplanade Ridge up to Bayou St. John. So we got to do this. The new port is going to be, it's the only greenfield new port that's being built in America. It's a very exciting project. It's going to create a lot of opportunity for St. Bernard. It's going to double the sales tax in the parish, which is incredibly important because they need that money for things like infrastructure. But the key point that I'm trying to explain to people is that the benefit is going to extend throughout the entire southern part of the state. If you want an example of that, look at Mobile, which frankly has kicked our butt on containers. They went from being a timber and coal port 20 years ago to surpassing us in containers a few years ago, which is embarrassing. That would be like them like passing us at Mardi Gras. It's just, it's not right, right? So we have to make it back. But if you look at their facility, they've got things like the Walmart facility that's built in Mobile. They've got shipping facilities. They've got Austell. But then they've got the Amazon facility all the way up in Montgomery, which is how far away? It's like at least 100 miles, right? It's far away. So what you're going to see with this port, if you imagine the way it's going to work, I'm going to try to face you and not screw this up. So basically, the river comes down, and here's Violet. They're going to have a new road. It's going to be a toll road that's going to be paid for by cargo that's going to come up and be on the Bayou Bienvenue side of 40 Arpent Canal. So it's not going to mess up any of the neighborhoods in St. Bernard. It's going to come over and then connect into Paris Road. Paris Road goes into 510, goes over the Green Bridge, and it goes and connects up into I-10 right by Six Flags. So the first place that's going to benefit outside of the parish is going to be New Orleans East. They've got, I think, 9 developable sites. Developable, that's a hard word to say. 9 sites they can build on, which is going to be for warehousing, for distributing, and for light manufacturing. Then you're going to go past the castle, right over the Naturally Nolans Bridge, right? And then you're going to come towards Slidell. You're going to go past the former site of Scuttlebutts, just asking for a friend. And then the next place that's going to benefit is Slidell, because Slidell has sites, including the old shopping malls, that can be turned around into distribution centers, into things that are going to take the cargo that's going to get trucked up from the port. Then you're going to hook a left onto I-12, and that's where the Gulf South Commerce Park becomes so important and so forward-looking. That facility is going to blossom because of the new port down in St. Bernard. And again, you're going to see distribution facilities, warehousing facilities, manufacturing facilities, supporting white-collar jobs around that. And then it'll probably benefit all the way up 55 and 51, all the way up to Hammond. So St. Tammany needs to support the port because it's going to be really, really good for economic growth in St. Tammany. And I give a lot of credit to the corporation for understanding that and for getting that thing developed. I talked to Massengill the other day. He said it was pretty easy getting it approved. He's having like the best time right now in his new job in Alexandria because he's like not getting tore up on Facebook. Like he doesn't have to like face the door when he goes to like out to eat. He's living large. Other thing I want to talk about is this energy boom. We are basically leading this all of the above energy future in Louisiana. I think it's the best opportunity that we have to for Louisiana to get back on track. The reality is that as a state, we've been stagnating or worse since the oil bust of the 80s. You can just look at the population numbers. And to me, in economic development and politically, population is the scorecard. Like you can look at everything. You can look at jobs. You can look at all the rankings. You can look at U.S. News and World Report. End of the day, your population tells the story. If your population is growing, you're winning. If your population is declining, you're losing. And there's a lot of path dependency on that. Because if you're gaining population, you're gaining tax base, you're getting more money for nice things, and if you're losing population, the opposite's also true. And you can go into what's called a civic death spiral. So the energy is a big deal because you're seeing it across the entire state, literally in every corner of the state. And it has benefits here, obviously, in St. Tammany. Some of the stuff is obvious, Chevron being such an important employer in the state. But then we've got other people who are doing interesting things. One of my favorite stories is LOG, LLOG, in Covington. Privately held company, doesn't make a lot of fuss, does really interesting things. They have a relatively new asset called Salamanca, I believe, that just started producing. What's interesting about this asset, it's in about 6,500 feet of water, typical deep water Gulf exploration. But what they did is instead of building a new rig, they bought an old one from Anadarko and they retrofitted it, or they modified it. That saved, according to their calculations, 87% in terms of carbon emissions because it's an upcycled old rig. No need for new steel. And it's now producing. So I think that's a great example of how we can do old things in new ways that allows us to create jobs and wealth, but is better for the environment. Other example that comes to mind easily is Matthew Sachs and Empirical. You guys know Empirical? It's quietly become a nationwide company, and they're an electrical engineering company. And the reason that they are benefiting is that they're one of the primes on the Meta deal up in Richland. That's a pretty big project, right? Now, President Trump showed it being the size of Manhattan. Nobody understands exactly where that image came from, but it's pretty damn big. To give you a sense of it, the power required to power that facility is enough to power 3 New Orleans. Now, the lights are not on in New Orleans all the time, so you got to kind of average it out. But that was a blackout joke. It was poor taste. But anyway, it's massive, and they're going to be doing a lot of the electrical work. And so, everybody tends to benefit from these projects. How am I doing on time? Good? What, 5 minutes, 10 minutes? 10, okay. I want to land the plane on time because we know you have your choice of speakers, and we appreciate you choosing me. Who here is excited about Southwest changing their seating thing and becoming more normal? Who here thinks they're never going to fly Southwest again because then it's just a crappy airline? Okay. By the way, I'm working with Breeze Airlines, who's like, fly Breeze if you can. They have a hub in New Orleans. They have an MRO, which means they do repairs and operations. They're now flying to the Caribbean. For those of you that go to Cancun, they've got these new planes. They're really cool. And we're trying to get Drew Brees to do a promotion for them, right? That's kind of obvious, right? Hi, I'm Drew Brees. I like pickleball and Breeze Airlines. But what? Thank you. That's what I need. I'm not going to say leadership. Yeah. All right. So let me end by talking about population and talking about New Orleans. So I do believe that population is how you keep score. There's a really interesting story there relative to St. Tammany. If you look at the past 10 years, Louisiana has lost 3% of population. Now, last year we gained about 30,000 people, so maybe we're starting to pull up again, but lost 3% over the last, I'm not sure if it's the last 10 years or 2010 to 2020, but basically this 10-year period. Over that same period of time, the region, the GNO region, lost 2%, so lost a little bit. The city of New Orleans lost 10%, one of the most precipitous declines in the country. And St. Tammany, according to ChatGPT, which used a lot of energy and may be lying, the growth was 13%, right? And so you might say, well, hell, we're winning in St. Tammany. Everybody else is falling off a cliff. New Orleans is down 10%, but we're up 13%. Good for us. We all know that that's absolutely not how it works. We're part of a metro, and in order for St. Tammany to thrive as a community, the businesses to thrive, in order to have the amenities that you get from living here but being able to go across the causeway, We need a New Orleans that is successful. I was actually talking to the Jefferson Chamber, to Ruth, about this yesterday, and she's like, yeah, you know, New Orleans' challenges might have benefited Jefferson Parish in the near term, but they don't in the midterm. And Tim Coulon, one of my mentors, agreed. I totally agree. So we really need a New Orleans that thrives in order to have a St. Tammany that is going to be able to be independent and strong. It's just the nature of the integration. No parish is an island, even if you're slightly north of awesome. And you don't want to be slightly north of awful, right? That's not good, right? No, it's not a thing. Okay. So I'm really encouraged about the election in New Orleans. There are a few reasons why. One is that Helena Moreno won pretty much everywhere. It's as close to a mandate as you're going to get, 55% of the vote. She got votes in all constituencies, rich, poor, black, white, across the whole city. And I think that she did for two reasons. One is that she ran a meticulous campaign. It was overwhelming, it was well executed, it was incredibly disciplined. She got endorsed by everybody. She got endorsed by Lenny Kravitz. Because when I'm getting up in the morning, I'm like, God, what should I do on this prop? Do I go to my newspaper? Do I go to the Better Business, the voter guide? No. I'm like, hey, Lenny, it's Michael. Yeah, what should I do on this millage? And he's like, no, that doesn't happen. But Lenny Kravitz endorsed her. So she had a great campaign, but I think the real reason that she did so well is that she ran on a campaign, these are her words, not mine, of we need a Super Bowl city every day, right? One that was flattering. People are like, man, she's stealing your stuff, she's taking credit. I'm like, no, not at all. Like, this is like a nice shout out, because when I was doing this, one of the things that I took away from the experience is that it actually is not that hard. You just show up every day and work the punch list like we do in our businesses. We were able to do 10 years of deferred maintenance in about 9 months, right? The city, you know, people said had never looked or felt or smelled better, and that's true, right? And I had said that if we had that level of focus, in 2 years, we could make all of New Orleans, including the East, up to a level of infrastructure, cleanliness, and safety that would be foundational for New Orleans beginning to regain population again. Because at the end of the day, all the incentives, all the leadership that you want, I said it, leadership, right, doesn't matter if people don't feel that a place is clean and safe, right? And we all know that's one of the advantages that St. Tammany has, is a reputation for it being orderly, right? For it being a place where you can let your kids go out and play, right? For infrastructure mostly working. So I'm very encouraged by that. I'm also very encouraged in my conversations with Helena, with people around her. She has a commitment to hiring the very best people and putting them around her. She's going to set up a deputy mayor system, which is what Mike Bloomberg did in New York City post 9/11. It's what Mitch Landrieu did and copied. The benefit of a deputy mayor system, and where's Ronnie? Did he leave? Or yeah, is that, you know, for folks who have been in administrations, deputy mayor means that you have a deputy mayor for economic development, and everything feeds up to them. A deputy mayor for education, everything feeds up to them. A deputy mayor for health and human services. And so it keeps the chain of command and control very clear, and people cannot escape accountability. And she's going to do that. One thing that I'm going to be writing an op-ed on in the newspaper is that one of her ideas is that we should be paying the CAO of New Orleans the same amount that we pay the police chief. I absolutely believe that, because if you have a city with an outstanding police chief or a parish and an outstanding head of operations, which is basically, the CAO is like the COO, it's like the city manager, it's the person that's keeping the trains running on time, then you're in pretty good shape. And as mayor, you can go and just run the podium and tell your story. And so I think that she not only has run an excellent campaign to this point, had the right message that resonated with everybody, but she's hit the ground running. And that's really been fun to see. So I'm encouraged about this election. I'm encouraged about the council that's selected there too. And again, the reason why I'm talking about New Orleans to a St. Tammany crowd is that as a region, and frankly as a state, which is why the governor has done things like put Troop NOLA in New Orleans, as New Orleans goes, so will all of us go eventually. We're all tied together, we're all in the same life raft. And so I'm very encouraged for the region and the state by the fact that I feel like we are going into the next administration with a lot of leadership. I only said leadership, not just, okay, that was a test. That was like Simon Says, right. A lot of leadership. And also, frankly, there are a lot of things that are going on in New Orleans despite the challenges, like Charity getting redeveloped, like the River District getting built out, which is going to be like the Wharf in D.C., a beautiful place full of obnoxious people. And so, so I'm very excited. So I want to land the plane. I think I got just a few more minutes. Any questions? Should we open up for? I'll talk about anything, and we can put it on or off the record. Yeah, thank you for your consideration. The only person whoever didn't respect an off the record request to me was a reporter from Al Jazeera. Go figure. It's a true story. My fault. What did I leave out? Yeah, Lacey?
Can you ask for a show of hands for
who is a native of New Orleans who now is on the North Shore? That's about, wow, that's over a third of the crowd. Yeah. And look, that is fine and good, but you know, I grew up in Westchester outside New York City, and these two things exist in complete symbiosis, right? You can live in the burbs because the quality of life is higher, or you get more for your money, or there are better schools, but then, man, part of it is that you could still go back to the urban core because you want to see a show, or you want to go down to the French Quarter. So, okay, we're wrapping it up. All right, that was, wow. Give me one hard question before I wrap it up. That was an easy one, because you had to answer. All right, thank you.
What's your take, or GNO Inc.'s take, on the executive order that came down from Governor Landry yesterday regarding carbon capture?
So on that one, that is a good, difficult question. Whatever I say is going to get me in trouble, so thank you. So this is off record, actually, but I'm going to tell you what I think. So the reason that this happened, our folks are pretty familiar with carbon capture and the whole brouhaha around it. Okay, so carbon capture is the linchpin for the energy future of the state, because the only way you can deliver abundant energy without damaging the environment, meaning the air environment, is either carbon capture or nuclear. And nuclear is still years away. Carbon capture is an old technology. It's been used for enhanced oil recovery from the 1950s, I believe. It's carbon dioxide. We drink it in our Diet Coke. But what happened is that industry did not do a good job of explaining it, and now two things are happening. There's a pincher movement that are against it. On the far left, environmentalists are against carbon capture because it makes natural gas less bad in a lower carbon environment. And so they don't like it because it makes natural gas less bad. I don't make the rules, I'm just reporting them, okay? Then on the other side, there are folks who either have concerns about the safety or are libertarian leaning and don't like the idea that there are going to be these issues of expropriation with pipelines, or frankly think that the entire issue of carbon capture is unnecessary because climate change is a hoax, so we shouldn't even be doing it. And so you have these both sides coming together feeling very passionate, and the governor has been under a lot of pressure, not as much in our region, but if you go up into like Tangipahoa, it's beginning to be an issue, certainly in Livingston, and folks are just against it. So what he is trying to do is to responsibly create a pause that will allow issues to be addressed and people to be heard without undermining the momentum of what is kind of a linchpin to our industry. So it's a difficult balance. If you actually read the latest version of the EO, it's actually not that bad. It kind of has the right words. It's about studying. There already have been something like 30 permits issued. It's not going to stop those permits. And so who here has kids who are teenagers? Okay, so, it's kind of 6, 7. Thank you! Leadership for the man! Thank you, Lazy. Thanks, everybody. You're the best, and thank you for being such friends and for having me here. Appreciate you. Good time. Thank you. I'm not leaving.
Okay.
Come on.
We got it.
I think we're going to do our ribbon cutting.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't leave.
Nope. Okay. You go.
Oh, oh my God.
All right, can we all say leadership?
Leader. I feel like I'm going to a bris for a Jewish giant. Oh my God.
I think we're really blessed to have someone of his caliber here representing us. Can we give him a huge round of applause?
Thank you.
I don't know, I feel like this is a pretty incredible luncheon. We have fireworks, we have a great dynamic speaker, we have big scissors.
Right.
It's all great.
Right.
So we are going to do a ribbon cutting. This is the first year we're going to open up our expo. So, and Michael Hecht is going to do the honors.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
Meredith?
Okay. On the stage. Okay. Don't run. Don't run with big scissors.
I needed him to do like a video of 6'7",
Yeah.
so I can send it to my kids with
Wait.
a 5-year-old.
Okay. I have to go this way because this way you see St. Tammany on the blades. Yeah, they're not two-sided. Okay. Okay. And then I want to get a stop action. Is that good? Oh, you want me to block the sign? Okay, hold on.
No, I think she wants you like really
She wants me to block the sign. Okay.
There you go.
And then let's do this. So it's like this is in the jaws of the St. Tammany Chamber.
What are we doing?
You want me to do it? On three? All right, on three, we're going to all, leadership, I'm going to cut it. 1, 2, 3, leadership! Ah!